The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
Welcome, everyone, to Perched on the Top Rope. I am your host with the most. And ladies, if you don't like wrestling, I'll ghost you. I'm Lee Walker, and I am joined from Smacked Raw's The Rewind, Kyle. Kyle, how you doing today?
What is going on, Lee? Happy to be here. You nailed it, man.
I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to do something new here. As you can tell, we don't have former WWE writer Rob Hockman. We don't have from Perch Gaming, the adorable one. We want to invite others from other shows on here so you guys can get a different perspective on the feel of wrestling from others. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, tell us about your show and everything you guys do.
Yeah, so we host a weekly show live on twitch.tv/Smacked Raw. Myself and my esteemed co-host RN. It's called The Rewind. Essentially, we just take a look at what's been going on in the latest week of wrestling between, what's happening in and outside the ring. So, we'll talk about cool story stuff and matches that have occurred, but also backstage rumors, news reports, kind of just like a whole pro wrestling generalization. And we're more opinion based. We're not really trying to deliver the news. We just like to, call a spade on our show. And so if you're interested in just hearing two middle-aged guys' opinions on what's happening in and outside of professional wrestling, you should check us out. It's actually a lot of fun, and we just crack a bunch of jokes. It's more or less silly than anything, but yeah, man, that's what we do. It ends up being a lot of fun. The Twitch community is really what the driving force is there, interacting with like a lot of the live stream.
Yeah, and I've watched you guys live. It's a very entertaining show. Guys, make sure you go check that out. I've been part of it with Dave, with his show that he has, and it's a lot of fun. You guys do a lot of fun things, and part of the incentive of bringing on others is to share in that fun. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some wrestling news. We're going to give our opinion. So if you like two middle-aged men talking about wrestling, tonight is the show for you.
Yeah, man. Where else are you going to find a wrestling podcast like starring middle-aged men? This is the rare niche of podcasting here, folks.
Yeah, we fit that 18 to 45 demographic. We're
Barely.
Just on the other end. So, Kyle.
Yeah, man.
How much do you know about the stuff going on in AEW with Cody Rhodes and all the rumors he's going to WWE and everything?
I have a 40-minute commute to my job.
Yeah.
And part of my habit is I throw on YouTube channels like Wrestle Talk and Cultaholic. And so I'm all the time hearing the retelling of professional wrestling news. And yeah, I mean, I've heard it. I've heard the whole everything from his departure, what it seems to be over, a dispute, like him essentially losing his grasp on his paycheck and the power backstage. I guess at one part they're reporting that he wants to honor his father by becoming a promoter and a booker, and it's just the public opinion of Cody. This is the narrative. Since the public opinion of Cody has been turning, and we're getting the appearances of like Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Adam Cole, all these people draining TK's checkbook. Cody doesn't really have as much leverage as he did, when he was a founding father of the company. And so apparently it's all summarized about money. Like that's the story is he's going to WWE to make some money.
Here comes the money. money. Got to get that Shane McMahon theme.
Oh, you
in there, man. How can you not? Yeah, it really does seem to be all about the dollar bills. And from other things that I have read, especially like here on Fightful Select, today they posted talking about several top stars in WWE getting ready to welcome Cody with open arms. They do say that Fightful has not heard of Cody signing a contract yet. So there could still be talks that he could still end up staying in AEW. But as we saw on Dynamite, he was already taken out of the opener and everything.
The opener. I mean, they still name drop him, but Dynamite's never, like, AEW's never shined away from admitting other companies and people exist even after they've left. I don't know, man. I'm one of the marks that still, I don't know. I'm still like 70-30. It's work, you know?
And I've seen a lot of fans be like, yo, this has got to be a work. It's got to be a work.
So look, one side of me is forever. I've been going on about how, like, well, they got to find some way creatively to be able to allow them to go after the world title and all. But then at the other end of this is like giving the current landscape. That would be the worst fucking thing to do right now, is pull some loophole stuff just to integrate them into this already congested AEW title scene. So I'm 70% that he is leaving. Maybe not WWE or whatever, like, but he is leaving. But about a good solid third of me is still like, man, this is like the biggest work in professional wrestling ever. So I don't know, man.
It would be, if they did that, I don't know how the fans would perceive it though. Like myself, like if you pulled something like that, I'd be pretty ticked off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a fan, because it's like, all right, now you're just kind of insulting us a little bit. But in order to get Cody to an AEW championship where it was, hey, you'll never get to go for this again type deal, who knows?
Like I said, like, even though I think, like, part of me wants to think it is, I still understand I'd be super unhappy if that was the case, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like almost like if, you know, like if you break up with someone, like, yeah, it stings initially, but then eventually you come around to acceptance. Yeah. And then when they come back into your life, you're like, man, I just got done getting over you, you know, like, yeah. Also, I don't mean to go off topic here, but did we get the same memo as far as dress code? I just realized this.
You know, I was looking too, and I was like, wait a second, something seems very fitting. Fans, we're both in plaid shirts, you know, so
just once again, middle-aged white guy uniforms here. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's like the work uniform, but it's also the I'm at home uniform. I'm comfortable uniform. You know, this is like an everyday thing almost.
The thing about podcasting from home, when you have video, it's like, what level of effort goes into your outfit? Like, you don't want to go on just what you wear necessarily around the house.
Yeah.
But to what degree do you dress up? And this is about it. Like, you throw a button up over just like one of your favorite t-shirts
over a wrestling shirt.
Yeah.
No, I totally feel that, man. Like it's off topic, but you're 100% right, man. Like, we are great minds think alike. That's the best way I can put that. Great minds think alike. The adorable one from Perched Gaming did want me to note this for fans to hear. When it comes to Cody Rhodes, the man leaves WWE, goes to Ring of Honor, starts up AEW, but in the process almost kills Ring of Honor. While in AEW, bashes WWE, more or less Triple H on some things.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing him head back to WWE. The adorable one wants to know, what the hell was the point of all of that then?
I mean, I get it. When he left, the narrative, once again, no one really knows. I mean, well, I guess he made it public, but I mean, he was creatively unhappy. He was creatively unfulfilled. The Stardust character was, you know, and that's one thing I got to give it to professional wrestlers, is just how much they humble themselves, like to go out and do something that you or I would perceive as very embarrassing. And they will admit that themselves, they're not fans of what they're doing, but they'll still treat it with the utmost professionalism and give it their all.
100%.
Like, you'd never guess when you saw Cody out there as Stardust that he hated his character. He still put 100% of effort into it, you know? Yeah. I mean, what did he do? He went on his bucket list tour. He got to wrestle a bunch of famous legends. He got to cut some awesome babyface promos. He touched down in, I think it was still called What Culture Professional Wrestling, WCPW, before it became Defiant Wrestling, and before ultimately it was closed down because they ran themselves bankrupt. But he was one of the big names when that company was upstarting. And hearing the passion in his voice, like, like we bash on all these wrestlers, making the vignettes of escaping prison and stuff like that. But I mean, when they care about their art, there's people that do a job for money, and then there's other people that do it for a passion. At the end of the day, money is always a factor, but some people, the passion is there more. And dude, just like him proclaiming his name is Cody Rhodes, not Stardust, in that company, kissing the mat. Like, you could see this dude was a white hot baby face that loved being perceived as a professional wrestler. And he got to do that tour, man. He went everywhere and did it. He went to New Japan, and you're right, Touchdown, Ring of Honor, AEW. And now that he's going back, it's like, who knows, man? Maybe creatively he had his fill. And now he realizes, hey, look, I don't have much time left in my career. Let's make as much money as I can before I get out of here, before I call it a day. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how I would perceive a regular person doing it. That's my perception.
Yeah. And part of the Fightful Select report that they had posted today about Cody and Brandy with this was Brandy was seen the other day at the Nightmare Factory training. She has a show that she's actively shopping for a network on. The reality show that they have has been renewed for season 2. And guys in AEW, had told Fightful that they have not seen any filming going on. So maybe they're waiting. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But a lot of that stuff that they had outside of AEW apparently is still going to continue as well. So
what's your take on Brandy Rhodes being a public character, whether it's, like on-screen stuff?
So like, I'm really upset actually about it, because I'm upset that she was in the middle of what I thought was an interesting storyline with Dan Lambert.
Yeah.
And the whole, his whole like MMA crew that he's got with him, and, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, especially when Page came out and, they ripped the two apart and everything like that. I think she does good. She, as far as ring work, she could use some, more training. However, she's pretty good on the mic. Like, she when she wants, she gives this whole like, I'm a badass with attitude.
Yeah, see, that's my issue though, is like, there are, in my opinion, man, there are lead actors and then there's supporting roles.
She's a supporting role.
She is a supporting role, but oftentimes being put in the position of like lead actors. And I feel like that's where like a lot of like the resistance is with a lot of the fan base. Like my buddy, me and RN, we used to go in on QT Marshall all the time about how this dude was, how was he getting airtime on Dynamite? This guy is just like, he's the equivalent of like Miracle Whip. It's like, no, I want mayonnaise. I don't want this fucking Miracle Whip. But this whole thing with Hook, being a proxy feud, sending his new guys after him, relegating it to like Rampage, suits him much better. He's not shoved down our throat during major television. Hook is the one getting the shine, not QT, but it does build to like Hook's like first boss in his career. He's taking on his first set of henchmen, and QT will be that first like low-level boss that he overcomes. And I have felt that has been how you utilize QT. Like, I got to go with RN Marshall on television. And I'm not telling Brandy by no means she needs to go to the back and, not be heard, but like, man, it's like, you got to have somebody out there with you. Like, there's got to be more than it's just you taking on these people. And I feel like that was the resistance, was she really seemed to like I said, whoever wants it, I don't know, but she's being placed in that main role when really she should just take a step or two back. And I don't know exactly how to use it because I don't book shit, but But yeah, I guess that's my point. She'd be better in a supporting role than these main roles that she's been placed in.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like she's more of a manager-esque type role, like a QT is. And I'm glad you brought QT up, his ties with Cody and the Nightmare Factory. I found something out through Ray Lloyd, who is Glacier.
Mm-hmm.
He and I contact each other. We're in contacts. We got some things coming up that we're working on.
Cool.
Glacier has seemingly left the Nightmare Factory. Actually, he was a trainer there. Unfortunately for him, the drive is a little too much for where it is compared to where he lives. So he's not. I shouldn't really say he's like fully left. He's only showing up here or there, maybe once a month, but he's seemingly on his way out from the Nightmare Factory. I was kind of hoping at some point we would see an AEW spot with him, as we had talked about in our interview. You can go to youtube.com/perched on the top rope and find our interview with Glacier. But yeah, him, QT, Cody, the Nightmare Factory. It seems that AEW is not going to change anything as far as using the Nightmare Factory because of QT and everything, which is good. They need some sort of system to bring in talent because, AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation, they seemingly take a lot of independent people, but now that they've got that school, they can start filtering in a little bit. And the other cool thing about the school is in our interview with Jacques Rougeau, he's got his wrestling academy in Canada, and it's a tournament. The winner of the tournament will win $5,000 cash prize and will win a scholarship to the Nightmare Factory.
That's dope, man.
So that's pretty cool. And if you want to listen to that interview, fans, you can go to youtube.com/perched on the top rope. I have no problem doing shameless plugs all night.
Yeah, man.
So I found that news interesting with Glacier, especially since, he'd been there pretty much since like day one. Wish him the best. But on to other pressing news, especially with AEW Fightful Select. Kyle, I don't know if you saw this. It's been in the works since January. Apparently, Buddy Matthews is going to be headed to AEW.
Yeah, in other news, water's wet. We knew this was coming. Man. Like, Bama likes to call me a shill for AEW, but I just enjoy things easier, I think, is all it is. But I will say this: if AEW is universally praised for anything that it does, it's work rate. They like guys that can have a high work rate, that can throw it down in that ring on any given night. And Buddy Matthews proved time and time again with his feud with Malachi Black in WWE that dude can deliver a 5-star match any day of the night. And but yeah, he's totally going to the House of Black.
Yeah,
he's joining up with him and Brody King. I hope House of Black becomes what I originally pitched for the Dark Order when the Dark Order were brand new, before being the Elite, before they were the lovable supporting cast of Adam Page. The Dark Order, my original pitch for them was that they would be like an unattended small fire. They never were like in the spotlight on Dynamite, but behind the scenes, they were slowly cutting these pretty cool vignettes, almost like Fight Club-esque, like how they were recruiting people. And they were slowly gaining forces, while I think at the time it was like, I want to say like Chris Jericho and Adam Page were fighting it out, or Chris Jericho in one of his first feuds. And so like just nobody was really paying attention to them because they were like a side story. And I always thought, like, how great would this be if them, like a small unattended fire, just swelled up so big while everyone else was fighting. And then one day they flipped the switch, and now it's like they're too big to be contained by baby faces or heels in that matter. And they become this overwhelming force. And I'd love to see that for House of Black, because it'd be weird to have three guys perceived as so deadly as they are, for them to just be another faction that trades off wins and losses. You know, you'd want there's some force of like dominance, almost like the US title reign of Rusev, of Miro when he was in WWE. He wasn't a world champion, but it was like, dude, he was like unstoppable. He crushed everybody. They just never threw him at the world championship, but everybody else was just tossed aside until John Cena squashed all that shit, and that's my hopes. Buddy Matthews, AEW, House of Black, get another member or two and just have them completely destroy the roster, including Dark Order.
I agree with that, because I would say almost like the Dark Order should be the first feud that they have to establish we're the darker, meaner.
Yeah.
You guys are the comedy act now almost. It's kind of like how I would see fit to do that.
They're like a Happy Madison production.
Yeah.
Like they really strike me as like Adam Sandler levels of comedy and humor. Like,
yeah.
I love them because I'm from that era, but I get why other people call them, oh man, RN had a great name for him. But you know what? Just keep going. It'll come to me later and I'll just interrupt you.
That's perfectly okay. Because fans, if you want to hear our interview with Buddy Murphy, now Buddy Matthews, youtube.com/perched on the top rope. We interviewed Buddy Matthews, and one of the very first questions we asked was what's going to happen with him and Malachi Black. And this interview was 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he said out of his mouth, yeah, we're not done yet. So fans, youtube.com/perched on the top rope. Find that Buddy Matthews interview. You will be very impressed. As you can tell, I like doing interviews. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Man.
When it came to Cody and AEW, you had said that it's a 70-30 on your end, thinking it's a work.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Josh Alexander with losing his visa is expired, contract with Impact is up right now type deal? We saw on TV Connor debuts in Impact and he beats him in under a minute, former NXT tag team champion.
Yeah.
And he gets indefinitely suspended. He's off no surrender. Do you think that's a work?
It's weird. So you'll have to forgive me. Every time I try to do a watch Impact, I get invited to do someone's podcast and I end up missing the episode.
Like tonight.
Yeah, like tonight. But I did see that. I did see that. It blew my mind. I was like, wow, it was my first time tuning into Impact in forever. And I had to ask people, I was like, is Connor Ben on here? And sure enough, no, it was, I just happened to tune in on the right night.
Yeah.
I don't know too much behind it. Impact's usually below my radar. I will say one thing. It does strike me, granted, I know that AEW doesn't do everything with purpose as much as WWE. WWE seems to have a real strict tie of like, don't name drop or say something unless it's already in work.
Yeah.
But Brandy Rhodes did name drop Josh Alexander during a promo battle with Ethan Page.
Yeah.
She said that, I believe that's what she said. Like, we only signed you so we could get to Josh Alexander.
Yep.
So that does raise some eyebrows, I think, as far as that goes. That's about it. That's all I really have for that. I don't know much beyond that.
Okay. See, that raised eyebrows to me when that happened. But when I had found out that he was no longer on, when, he had tweeted all that stuff, I was kind of surprised and taken back, especially after I found out through Mark Madison, a dirt sheet writer, that Impact helped sponsor his work visa.
Okay.
So
what is he Canadian or European?
He's Canadian.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused now. If they are letting him go or if they were keeping him, why wasn't anyone up to date on his work visa and getting it renewed and everything? If that's the case, then
why did nobody know when Adam Cole's contract was up, Kyle O'Reilly's contract was up? Is you'd love to think that these businesses work like a well-oiled machine,
but they don't.
Yeah.
And a prime example of that is when they released Aleister Black from WWE. Now we know as Malachi Black in AEW. He still had the clause from NXT where he didn't have a 90-day, he had a 30-day compete clause.
Yeah,
so you're right. Their companies, there's certain things that they might not be paying attention to, and this could be one of those cases.
Just slipped under the radar, man. Yeah. Who knows? I'd love to see. I know, I'm on Twitter more than I'd like to admit, but I do see a lot of buzz about the guy. And I do turn into if there's anything I do watch with Impact is I tune into their big pay-per-views now. Kind of like how I treated NXT back in the day. I didn't really watch it weekly, but I'd watch every takeover, so that's kind of what Impact has become. And I'm trying to watch it more. But like I said, I watched that last one where he defeated Christian, right? Maybe it wasn't the last pay-per-view, but I watched the one where he defeated Christian. And then I guess Moose
came in and cashed in.
Yeah. I still don't even remember what that was.
Kid and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That was weird. That struck me as me and RN, I'm going to always reference him. But we always think is this overthinking it. I used to be a cook, and one of the rules in cooking and preparing dishes was always less is more, and people sometimes one of their instinct is to go overboard when they're brand new to something or when they're not thinking correctly. And that's overthinking it. And I felt like that was the case with them. You could have given that man his night, everybody would have been happy. You didn't need to get that little bit of heat on Moose. I felt like they overthought that.
I agree with you. I really do feel like Josh Alexander should have had a championship run instead of the 13 seconds he had with the belt.
Mm-hmm. Has he been a journeyman to this point? He's never really held the title, right? That was his first.
Yeah.
That was his first one. Okay.
And in the storylines, they had made it a point that he had quit his full-time job and to now be a full-time wrestler leading up to this championship match against Christian.
Yeah, man. Dude, look at that. You had everything you needed for do you know how hard it is to build a legitimate babyface in 2022 with as cynical as wrestling fans can be?
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. It is difficult. You have a man that was perfect. The only other prime example of that hard times character, it would be Eddie Kingston, and look what it did for him. Look what that story that came out about him selling his wrestling boots to pay rent, for him on AEW. He became the biggest babyface, whether or not he had the cleanest look for it, but still people cheer when you do good things to them. Like I said, after that night, I did lose interest. Impact probably would have kept my attention a little bit better if it hadn't been for that shady finish they just threw at the end of what was, if I remember correctly, a phenomenal pay-per-view.
Oh, it was a great pay-per-view. That match, I see your side of it, and I agree. I 100% think he should have had a longer run, but
at least the night you could have had him cash in the following day and send the fans home happy at least that night.
I think what they did was leading up to it, they made it about Josh Alexander, but then that night, even though he won, it wasn't about him. They were making it about Moose finally getting that championship, and that's where I think the story takes a twist, and you're either happy with it or you're not. I can understand both sides. I understand your side. I thought what they did was actually pretty good storytelling, because you had Matt Stryker and D'Lo. They're both legitimately crying for Josh Alexander, being the family man, this and that. And Matt Stryker took it really hard because he just became a father.
Yeah.
But at that point, his tears are really flowing and stuff like that. And then to see Josh Alexander's wife and his son get in the ring, and then Moose just shows up and is like, "No, I'm taking that."
Yeah. Are you a family man?
Storytelling, but I really think they could have built up to it and made it a longer feud out of it than what we got.
Are you a family man? You got kids?
No, I got 2 cats. I'm not a family man.
No, okay. I mean, no, I was just wondering.
Oh no, I'm sitting in my house, which is this is a bar. I got.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty awesome bar.
Thank you. This is actually my dining room. I had a dining room table and everything, and I was like, I'm the only one that sits here because I'm the only one that lives in this house.
Okay, so you're a bachelor. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm a total bachelor, dude.
Got you. All right. No, I was wondering because I was going to see if those family moments get you, but if you're a bachelor, that's probably just cheesy shit to you.
Honestly, I thought it was like when he won and the family came in, I was like, yo, this is a real good feel good moment type deal. This is a family atmosphere that they're giving. And then when the announcers were crying, I kind of laughed at first. Yeah. But then I was like, something's building here that I'm not seeing. And then when Moose came in, I was like, there it is.
I was gonna try and see if like we connect on that, because that's a weird thing that happens when you become like a dad and stuff.
Yeah,
is you'll find yourself easily like, I mean, of course, if I'm not saying like I'm like this like stand up like great father, but like I want to be a good dad. You know what I mean? Like I actively try to make good decisions to benefit my children. But with that being said, it is kind of silly how easily you slip into living vicariously through those moments with other people. Like you see like a dad doing something heroic in front of his kids, and where I wouldn't have given a shit like 7 years ago. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh man, my kids would be so proud of me. And you find yourself like easily becoming a mush over crap you wouldn't have given a damn about before those little bastards were born. So like, I want to say that's a real thing, man. That's a real thing. No, you're right.
Because like, I don't have kids, but for me, I have a niece and nephew. My nephew's 6. My niece is 3. I'm her godfather. So like, stuff like that family stuff. Yeah, it does hit me a little different now. I'm not a father myself, but as an uncle, like I look at those family things and I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, man. And that's where I was like, I was intrigued, but like when the crying started, I kind of laughed and I was like, all right, this is a little weird.
Yeah, I would too, man. No, I would too. There's no shame in it. It's just it's a weird thing like that. Like you can easily become a mush just because like a certain event happened in your life. Yeah. And now all of a sudden things that you wouldn't have looked twice at now all of a sudden hit you and you'll get caught off guard sometimes. Like, yeah, I can't tell you how many times I'll be watching some stupid sappy movie with my wife and I'll get like a little welled up and I was like, oh shit, I can't show her that I'm crying. So I got to do like this weird stretching action where like I just like rub my face with my shoulder.
You do one of these.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh man, super embarrassing.
It is what it is. I feel that sort of storyline, they could have gone with that ending on a different night though. Like have Josh Alexander beat someone who's like some sort of legend to Impact or something like that. And then, have the family come in. It's his first title defense. Everyone's happy. And then there's Moose. They could have gone that way.
No one was really upset when Zack Ryder lost, like after Zack Ryder won that Intercontinental title in that ladder match at WrestleMania, where his dad famously tried to put his hat on him and he was like, no, get that fucking thing off of my head. Everybody was legitimately happy for him. And then the next day on Raw, when I think the Miz won it back.
Yep. Less than 24 hours.
Yeah. No one really gave too big a damn. It was just like, they were happy they got the moment for Ryder and cool. Yep. Let's get it back on track here to what the story is. But I
was upset by it.
You were?
I'm a huge Cardona fan. So like,
I like him now. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand him in WWE, man.
Oh, I loved it because like I've lived on Long Island. So like I know that whole character type deal like that. And if it was like 2003 to 2008, with the woo, 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 they were everyone on Long Island was gym, tan, and laundry. It was ridiculous.
I mean, he blew up during my dark period where I wasn't watching wrestling. Like there was like this gap in time. So when I came back, he was well embedded in the bottom mid card. Like I never got to see that rise in popularity online. I never saw that weird like cuck angle with him and John Cena and Kane or whatever happened there. Like I didn't see any of that. Like when I came in, he was, God, what was he doing? He did. I think like I don't really remember. I remember him doing that, and then wasn't he in like a tag team with like Mojo Rawley in NXT,
Bros,
the Hype Bros.
Yep, the Hype Bros.
Yeah,
He was
that
doing
was
double duty.
Yeah, that was like the majority of my like Zack Ryder shit. Like he just stank of like lower mid card WWE guy. But have
Watch
Nick
him now.
Gage. Yeah, have Nick Gage like run a pizza cutter across his face and
No, people
blow him
got
up.
respect.
He got baptized.
Yeah,
after he left. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's doing awesome stuff. He's the Impact Media digital media champion. He's now the NWA World Heavyweight Champion of the 10 pounds of gold, which he paid tribute to Christian with his gear because they both won it on the same date.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Christian won it while in TNA. And then on the same day with that pay-per-view, Matt Cardona defeated Trevor Murdoch to win it. It was the same day, just like 12, 13 years apart. It was really cool.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, I thought it was neat, that Matt Cardona is always really good at like with that special gear and everything like that, and the tributes and stuff that he does because he's been doing it since the WWE days. And
he's
I'm
a
always
nerd at
big
heart,
fan
man.
of that, like,
the dude's
that
a really big
gear.
Yeah, he's a big nerd at heart, man. Like, he cares about that stuff. You know who I'd love to see do the Matt Cardona? What would you call it? Like the Matt Cardona run, essentially. It's so stupid, but I'd love to see Nia Jax do it. I'd love to see her like end up in GCW in death matches with dudes, like just going ham. Because like she strikes me as a woman who would is like always it's going to be hard to get the WWE stink off if she was to ever wrestle anywhere else. But I'd love to see her do that run. And I don't know. I just think it'd be hilarious to watch her go through a glass table or something.
I think it would. I agree. I think that when you leave WWE, the best thing that you can do is just completely reinvent yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're seeing a lot of stars do that. And another one is actually Killer Cross. We know he's going to be March 26th. He's going to be part of MLW. And we found out a while back, but we found out today that EC3, Adam Shearer, formerly Braun Strowman, have created their own wrestling company.
Yeah, who fucking saw that coming?
Honestly, when I met the both of them not too long ago, actually, and I spoke with their manager. I would have never have thought the Control Your Narrative was going to become its own company. I thought it was just like, when he kept saying it, you can control your own narrative. I thought he was going to do some sort of like just a special, like one-off event.
Mm-hmm.
And like, like he has done in the past with this Control the Narrative. But then when I saw that, they're doing the first thing coming up soon. And then WrestleMania weekend, March 31st in Dallas, Texas, they're having the first TV taping. And that's where Killer Cross is going to debut on the 31st.
No joke, man. So you got Cross, sure, like formerly Braun Strowman, and then EC3. It's weird though, man. Like, I mean, go for it. Absolutely go for it. But like AEW, because that's obviously the point of reference. Everyone's going to compare a new upstart, wrestling company started by wrestlers,
Yeah.
AEW was a beautiful mix between capitalizing off of the most hyped indie pay-per-view ever with All In. And then you had the collective of the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, Adam Page, all these indie darlings that were like white hot. I mean, becoming millionaires off of merch sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Popularity like at its peak. The timing was right. I wonder how much buzz these guys can really make. I mean, Braun Strowman, for one, let's be honest with it. I don't even mean to call him Braun. Just Adam, sure. Let's be honest. Like, he hasn't done anything to garnish any like hype, like to get any like big following. I mean, I bet you he's got a more passionate following in like the world of bodybuilding than he probably does in professional wrestling.
Yeah, because he did strongman competitions before
before
wrestling.
So and then EC3, I feel like I wish like, because I watched that like promo video when he left WWE, and it was like it followed him from like a rooftop to like an underground fight club, and it was super fucking gritty and intense, and it was badass. I saved that shit on my phone for like 2 years. But once again, like he never, like I don't feel like he ever got that big moment to get like that mainstream appeal. It's weird that you got 3 guys that have like mild, like I want to say like mild excitement levels right now, and I don't know, it's just a little odd to me. I mean, I wish the best. I know that they're not trying to come out like swinging like AEW did, but I hope for the best. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know about how you felt, but I was 100% convinced Adam Scherr was just going to go back to WWE. Like they were just going to re-sign him again within the next year or so.
Well, and it was interesting because like when he had made statements he would never wrestle anywhere but WWE, I was shocked, especially since he's, a new guy. There's no real indie experience there or anything like that. I, for sure, when he said that, he was just going to hold out for WWE, but then like Ring of Honor Final Battle, we see him in EC3 there. That was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I was hyped for that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he kind of made himself seem like he is just a sole WWE guy. And if it's not WWE, he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of seems like he's like, well, if I can't go back to WWE, why not just create my own thing and make myself over type deal.
I genuinely hope for the best, and I hope it's successful, but they're gonna need, like anything else, you need like a big name, a big draw. And having Adam Scherr show up to face I don't want to use the term nobody, but face somebody that doesn't already have like a huge following, isn't gonna do anyone no favors. You know what I mean?
Picking local competitors isn't going to do much.
Yeah.
You got to have those names out there, that are bigger or of equal name.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Something that's going to shock the fans. Like, oh, holy crap. We're going to see Adam Scherr take on.
Let's say who's Cage. Let's say Brian
Cage. Yeah.
There you go. That's a good match. You know. That's a good match.
Big, bulky dudes. I totally agree to that. Like, I would like that match, especially because Brian Cage can wrestle like a heavyweight and can move like a cruiserweight.
Yeah, like Cage can obviously handle the work rate side of things and bump like a madman for Adam Scherr.
Yeah, so that'd be a great first match to see, like in that company. I feel like. Yeah, especially because Brian Cage isn't doing really anything in AEW anyway. So
I honestly forget if he's still signed or not. Like at times, not gonna lie,
because he hasn't been on in months, and it's just like, oh, he's still there. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I feel like Tony Khan kind of knows like who's going over like a wet fart. They did Brian Cage wrong. You needed to let that man have a banger of a match, like less mic time, more in ring time, and they were doing the opposite. They were doing the opposite. He'd come out and cut a promo on Ricky Starks and get zero reaction. But you see that man do like springboard moonsaults and shit, and crowd's gonna liven up. But I think TK is doing like this weird like how you break up with your bros kind of deal. Is you don't really call and say, hey, we can't hang out no more. It's just like a phone call goes unanswered, your text gets left on read for like 3 or 4 days, and they give you like 2-word replies like, oh, my bad, I missed it. Although I guess that's like a 5-word reply, but it's never like, dude, I don't want you here no more. It's more or less just like, you kind of get the vibe, like, okay. And I feel like TK's doing that. He's it seems like he's letting down these wet farts like softly.
He's he's ghosting the wrestlers like I ghost women who don't like wrestling when they realize I take home 6 figures a year, and I don't mean $100,000. I'm talking awesome. I take home 6 Hasbros like a day.
Good Lord.
Oh man, yeah. So, we're talking about all these former WWE guys and everything. How do you feel about a couple of part-timers coming back? We saw Super Bowl Sunday. Dwayne The Rock Johnson cut a very WWE like promo and then answered someone on Twitter saying that was just an Easter egg.
Yeah, a little tease. He ain't doing shit. Oh man. I mean, for one, I see the rumors about Stone Cold. Stone Cold ain't wrestling. Stone Cold, he ain't got no neck, he ain't got no back, he ain't got no knees. Booker T put it famously. People complimented Booker T's shape. They were like, man, you look jacked. You look like you could wrestle. He's like, I look like this because I'm not training to wrestle. I'm doing the training that I can handle. If I was ready to wrestle, I wouldn't look like this because my body ain't going to handle that.
Yeah.
And that's Stone Cold, man. He ain't, I don't know, man. I do not see that man wrestling. Like he's said it time and time again. And then not to mention, he doesn't need the money. He has all the time in the world to watch these guys who do go long extended periods without being in the ring and see the turnout. And you haven't had a single guy crush it. He's had both Goldberg and Undertaker on his podcast, and they've both said it was the same thing. They're not training year round. You know what I mean? And every time that they do go through essentially like a training camp to get ready for a ring, it doesn't produce the results that they wanted. And Stone Cold is not a dumb man. He probably understands the same thing would happen to him. I don't see him doing this match. The Rock, however, we'll probably get a match at some point with Roman. I'd hope so.
I'd too.
Like that. I'd like that.
But as far as Stone Cold goes, if you remember correctly, you remember the last time we saw him hit a Stone Cold stunner? It was with Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley with the New Day.
Yeah, he hit Kofi. Kofi, excuse me, Xavier.
Xavier Woods. Well, if I remember correctly, and I'm 100% positive I am, he tore his bicep doing that.
He injured himself.
Yeah.
Delivering a single stunner.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
So how's he going to wrestle?
How are you going to give this man a 5-minute, 10-minute match? It wouldn't work right. You'd have to do like, what was it? Like what Bret Hart did, where you have other people come in and do the work for you.
And then you just throw on the finisher and that's it.
Yeah. And
like
even
what he did with McMahon.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing too was like, I really love Stone Cold's perspective because as much as I miss him, in the ring and raising the crowd, I also understand the man is much closer to 60 now than he is 50, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And on top of that, I love what he said about how he doesn't want to do appearances that are meaningless anymore. He doesn't want to come out on a Legends night just so they can wheel out their antique toys and blow off the dust. You know what I mean? He's said that at the very least, he wants it to mean something, whether that, if it's going to lead towards like some type of angle to help benefit the other wrestler or something, there'd have to be some level of story involved to bring him out. Granted, being in Texas and a big enough paycheck, that might still, ease the tension there, but.
And we saw the teasing from Kevin Owens about it, but then Wrestling Inc. put out an article today that Stone Cold could face Goldberg at Mania, which shocked me. And I was just like, no, there's no way.
Dude, the people get really crazy around this time of year.
That would just be an injure fest, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like that's asking for too many injuries. And I don't think Goldberg and Stone Cold could do it. I almost feel like those older guys need to wrestle a younger guy in that sort of thing.
Who gets over between Stone Cold and Goldberg? Like, who does that who's that really benefiting?
Well, I mean, Goldberg keeps saying you're next, but he keeps losing, so it's obviously his moniker should be who's next to beat me.
Yeah, no, you're not lying, man.
You know, like it's just, to me, it's that bad. Like he's been on like the last 4 matches and he's lost all of them.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, what is his losing streak? So he lost to Braun. That was the first one, right?
Yep.
And then what was his Bobby Lashley beat him twice? Because he beat him once because Goldberg had the injury and then he hit his kid.
Yes.
And then and then he beat him again. And I can't recall anything other than those 3 matches, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm a little ahead of myself because we'll talk about the Elimination Chamber, but that'll be the 4th one, I guess.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
And since we brought it up, why don't we talk about it?
Let's talk about the Chamber, man.
Yeah.
You excited?
This Saturday at noon on Peacock TV. Elimination Chamber. We got some great matches coming up.
When will this video go up?
What was that?
When will this video go up?
The audio will go out tonight.
Oh, okay, cool. So
Yeah,
this will be we don't have to sit here and pretend like, oh man, that show was awesome.
Yeah, no.
I can't believe Sting showed up or something.
Yeah, no. This is. I'm gonna keep all this in here because this is great banter. I think this is gonna go up tonight.
Awesome, man.
So the WWE, we'll start right off the bat. The WWE Championship. We got Bobby Lashley, the champion, taking on Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, and AJ Styles in the Elimination Chamber. Kyle, who do you think's gonna win?
It's Brock, man.
Yeah.
Any seeds of like potential shock victories were really settled in the weeks leading into this. AJ Styles lost in a nothing match against Damian Priest for the title. That would have added some intrigue had he gone in new US champ. Riddle being 100% caught up with this Alpha Academy feud with Randy Orton. It's like you don't even realize he's in the chamber match. If you watch Raw, like there's almost no reference to it because he's caught up with these tag titles. So, let me see where is, who else is in there? Who else? I'm sorry. Austin Theory. That was originally Shane McMahon's slot. So we know he's not winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like I said, you got Bobby and Seth. Seth would be interesting, but I just like I said, my gut tells me is like, why the hell would you put Brock in there if he wasn't going to win it, if they weren't going to take that belt over to SmackDown on WrestleMania and then, make potentially Roman Reigns a double champ or unify the belts. So yeah, I got Brock winning it, and it's going to be a weird build for Raw's main card going into Mania because I don't think they'll have a belt to fight over. And that's going to be odd to me to see names like Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins and stuff going into Mania, and there's no world title around.
I gotta agree. That's a very strange thing to have happen because we've been so used to the 2 different championships now. And I got something I'm going to add, but I'm going to do it after this match. I agree. Brock Lesnar. When they did the Royal Rumble the way that they did and he lost right away, I was like, we can turn this off. I know who wins the Rumble now.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. Yeah. The next match is the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns and Goldberg.
Next.
Yeah.
Fucking Goldberg cashing in his check at Saudi Arabia. If this ain't the most transparent, like Goldberg gets so many matches a year, he's going to make them the most profitable. Where's the most profitable match to have? Put it in Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? You go out there, you work for 5 minutes, and you count the lights. And then on your way home, you can count the fucking all of the dollars that he's going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I really do hope Roman Reigns like squashes Goldberg. Like I know he's gonna win. I want him to just decimate him. I want, but Goldberg has really been vocal about how he is protective of his image and wants kids to look up to him and shit. And I'm like, Goldberg, dude, kids don't know who the fuck you are anymore, man.
Yeah.
Like, all those kids are in their 30s and they're tired of you, bro.
And it's all us middle-aged guys.
Yes. But I'm more intrigued as to see if Roman can make do with what he said in Goldberg. Like that's the story for me is, can we see Goldberg get squashed like he squashed Brock back in 2016?
Yeah. And I mean, hey, I'd almost like to see Roman hit a jackhammer if possible.
Oh, definitely possible.
Why not embarrass him enough with his own finishing move?
Oh, man.
I'm going to say Roman too. And this is solely for the fact that when Brock Lesnar was on TV and said, "Oh, I'm not going for you, Roman. I want title for title at Mania."
Mm-hmm.
That told me what we're getting right off the bat, because Brock Lesnar doesn't.
Going back to what we said beforehand.
Yeah.
They don't like to plant seeds like that if it's not going to play out the way that they're saying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they planted the seed on that one, and they were watering it in the ring at the same time. Like they weren't messing around with that.
Yeah,
that plant was already sprouting as he was talking, dude. Wild. It
was like they were really just reading off the match card of WrestleMania that night.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, oh, okay, well, we know what's happening at Mania already. We don't need the Elimination Chamber matches. Give it to them.
Oh gosh.
Next, we have the Raw Women's Championship. We have Becky Lynch taking on WWE Hall of Famer Lita.
All right, so here's a hot take. Lita couldn't wrestle when she was in her prime. Like, this is going to be, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster, man. I for one, like fucking Lita was like what helped me as a kid discover what a fucking erection was. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love Lita. There's a special place for Lita in my heart and in my memories that I'll always have. All right. And elsewhere. But God damn it, dude, I'm gonna get canceled. But being serious with this is like, for one, like I'm trying to think of like who's a legend that has come back for a temporary run, and then they in WWE invested more in their character than just you're a legend popping up.
Trish Stratus.
Charlotte. Well, no, like I guess so. I mean,
that's like the closest thing I can think of right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
maybe I would say Edge, when we didn't realize like what type of rate we were doing.
Oh, I thought we were just going with women.
No, just legends in general.
Oh yeah, Edge, hardcore.
Yeah, Lita. They really feel like the writing that they gave her and everything is just, you're a legend. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Like, you're a legend. You're here to wrestle and prove. It's the same thing we've read over and over. So like, they haven't given her much like character work. And then not to mention, like, I mean, she's gonna, like, I hate to say it, but this is gonna be like the stinker of the whole show. Like, I really think so. As much as I love Lita, now granted, I bet Becky can help carry her through a good match, but like, man, I don't know. Like, Lita's always had this weird, janky, like semi-coordinated, semi-uncoordinated style, which granted, will always have that first Raw main event where she scorpioned herself diving through the ropes and about broke her back and neck again.
Folded the wrong way like an accordion. Yeah.
Nowadays, Sasha Banks takes that mantle a little bit. But because Sasha Banks bumps like a mad woman. But I don't know, man. Like, it's for one, the prediction is it's Becky. But I think the real question is this match actually going to be good, or is this going to expose and tarnish? Will this be the next like tarnishing of a legend's legacy? How Goldberg got tarnished with that, and Undertaker in Saudi Arabia. Are we going to see that again with Lita in Saudi Arabia? Are we going to see her and be like, okay, there's a reason why we shouldn't roll these people out 20 years after they left the fucking company, you know?
I'm hoping that that's not the case. I'm hoping she can still go in the ring. I've seen images of her training and stuff. So I mean, she's taking it seriously, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm just really hoping that Becky can carry her, or maybe we're going to see the complete opposite and she can still go, where maybe WWE says, hey, do you want to keep this going?
I think I think they have a plan for her and Charlotte at Mania.
I've been thinking the same.
Yeah.
But like I saw the poster for Backlash WrestleMania or WrestleMania Backlash, whatever they call it now, because they added WrestleMania into the damn thing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The poster has Sasha Banks and Charlotte on it. It has Roman and Brock, and it has Becky and I believe Bianca on it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that something happens with Lita and Charlotte, because I found it very weird that they had that whole spot on SmackDown and then in the Royal Rumble, and now Lita's going for the Raw Women's Championship. It was kind of like, I don't know if they were like, we'll come back to this or we're just scrapping it all together. But to me, it was really weird that they did that.
Yeah, no, the whole women's title scene with Ronda Rousey being back has been kind of weird in general.
Yeah, like it threw off the whole storyline type deal for whatever reason.
Like, because I said, sorry, I got to yell at my kids. At least I'm muted. If you guys are listening to the audio version, the reason why, if you might hear a click or something, it's me muting my mic so I can yell at my kids to stay playing in their room. No, because before Ronda came back, there was a pretty cool narrative that Bianca Belair would probably take on Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, and you could play into that whole SummerSlam squash match angle, you know. And then Ronda comes back and you're like, well, at least we'll get the rematch between Ronda and Becky and we'll capitalize on all that bad blood that they had. And then you can call back to like how Ronda's like shoulders weren't on the mat. And at least we got a story here that's beyond just, hey, I'm back, I want a title. You know, her calling out Charlotte and then for Mania is weird to me. Yeah. And I mean, if she does go for Charlotte, maybe we'll still get Bianca and Becky, but it is right now, the women's just title scene just feels weird because it feels like we had some stories started, but they've stopped. And it almost like possibly they're writing them on the fly, which is, you know, let's be honest, wouldn't be beyond WWE creative. So
yeah, no, you're 100% right. And man, so you got the head spinning now. I would like for them to pick up where the storylines left off, and they're not scrap type deal, because like I said earlier, I'm a little upset with the whole Brandy Dan Lambert. Like, we're not getting a finish to that. Like, I want to know what the outcome was. If that's the case, and we don't get Lita in some sort of feud with Charlotte, I want to know then what was the point of doing that?
Yeah, what was the point of Lita calling her out, delivering the twist of fate, all of that stuff?
Like, at that point, there was no point at all if you're not going to, you know, come back to that at some point. Yeah. But
we'll see. I mean, we just, you know, I mean, what they always tell us, we're not the bookers. Let it play out. We'll see what's happening. We should, but I mean, by this time Monday night, we should probably have a pretty clear picture
of what's going to happen.
Because we'll have the chamber match behind us, and then we'll have Raw setting us up, because you best be setting some stuff up come Raw on Monday.
100%.
Yeah, it's weird, man. They used to start booking out, like, you know, stories usually started around Survivor Series back in the day, and now it's like you literally WrestleMania. Oftentimes, you know, with the exception of some matches, but oftentimes a lot of these stories are just like any other pay-per-view. They're built in like a month's time.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. You know, I want WrestleMania to be prestigious, to have the blow-offs, the big story angles. So I'm not trying to be pessimistic yet, And they need to get a start on it. Like they need to get a start on some of these damn stories.
No, I agree. Cause like the one thing I hate is like when they rush it.
Mhm.
Like it's the road to WrestleMania. You shouldn't be rushing anything. Like this stuff in my eyes you should have everything, set in stone what you want. And then a plan B and a plan C if certain things can't happen.
Right.
Because like like I said, WrestleMania season, the road to WrestleMania, things should not be written on the fly at that point.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, look at now, granted, they can come through, but oftentimes you need help from the fans. The last time I saw like a rush story succeed, and that was Kofi Mania, because you had the gauntlet match, which was qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. I want to say it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or would no Kofi. Yeah. Was Kofi in the chamber that year? I can't remember because I know he picked up steam in the gauntlet match. Yeah, and he was in the chamber. He did get in the chamber. And then you had a month of Vince McMahon trying to, blackball him, essentially, just trying to prevent him before they got him in. And they made it work. But I mean, the crowd, the fans had to like twist WWE's arm to get that story.
Yeah.
What are we going off on right now this year? Like, what is that big angle that us as fans, where's the fan story, because everything right now, like I said it on the other night, everything feels like a safe bet. They're playing it super safe. Who's our big draws? Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, Roman Reigns, Ronda Rousey. Boom. There's our big matches right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like where, you gotta have some fan pleasing stuff, and we'll probably get it. Like I said, we just got to see. I just want to see what it is.
Yeah, I'm curious too. And we'll find out eventually, I think.
Yeah.
Our next match, the Women's Elimination Chamber, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair versus Doudrop versus Nikki ASH. And we found out Monday that the last participant would be Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. It's Alexa.
I know who I want to win, and I have a hunch of who's going to win.
Who do you want to win?
Two people for me. I want either Alexa or Rhea.
Okay.
Realistically, I think WWE is going to go with the Bianca Becky rematch, essentially, at Mania type deal.
Yeah, that would make sense. They did a good job with Rhea Ripley in that gauntlet match on Monday.
Oh, dude, she killed it. She was in the ring for like 40 plus minutes. Like,
if we've learned anything, like your babyface heat can be saved by a good gauntlet match.
Yeah.
I won't be offended if you haven't seen them. But have you seen my 10-second show reviews I'm putting out?
I've been watching those and they're hilarious.
I appreciate that.
They're
Thank
great,
you.
dude. They are great.
Yeah. So that was my whole joke about for Raw was like, that was the joke was like, I love how gauntlet matches can set up like a big match like that vacant slot in Elimination Chamber. And it was like, oh, wait, never mind. It was just Alexa Bliss finishing therapy. That's how she got in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, you're making me change my pick because I thought I was convinced actually it was going to be Bliss. Coming back and doing it, but you're right. I mean, I guess Bianca would be the one that makes sense.
Yeah, because like the thing that I love about the 10-second review that you do, and fans, you have to go watch these, listen to them.
YouTube.com/SmackRaw podcast.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Because when you first announced it, the first thing when I watched the first one, I thought to myself, how do you review a show in 10 seconds? And then I watched it. When I was laughing the whole time, but I was like, this is great. This is amazing. I was like, I'm not going to watch these 3-hour shows anymore. I'm going to come watch the 10-second review.
I appreciate that, man.
So, I mean, I'm all about it. I like I said, when I first heard about it in our group chat and everything, I was like, I don't know how this is going to go over. And I watched it. I was like, all right, I can see how that works. And I laughed and I laughed. I've watched them a couple of times now at this point, like the first one, because it's
It's a
and you
stupid,
just-
it's a
you gotta-
simple, it's a simple formula.
Yeah.
It's a simple joke formula,
yeah,
but it serves its purpose.
yes, and it's perfect. Fans, if you don't want to watch 3 hours of Raw,
Just watch my 10-second review on YouTube, man. YouTube.com/SmackDraw Podcast.
it's awesome.
Or you can follow me on Twitter at the Kai Tai Show, where I'll put it on my Twitter feed as well. And then I'll still ask that you kindly hit the YouTube link and maybe like the video, to help the YouTube traffic go. But if you ever want to bypass YouTube for whatever reason, you can follow me on Twitter and catch them as well.
I would tell you to go support him and go like, comment, hit the ring bell, and subscribe.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So who's your pick?
I think you convinced me for Bianca.
Okay.
Because it's going off exactly what I was just talking about a couple minutes ago, where it makes sense for Bianca to face Becky at WrestleMania. Like that match makes sense if it's not Ronda. So yeah, I guess Bianca, and then I just wonder what they're gonna do with Bliss, man. Did you see
the part
that?
I'm confused about.
Did you see the joke about how they said, because at the end of the therapy session, they stuffed like Lily's original stuffing in this new replica doll?
Yeah.
And so the joke was that they wanted the old Bliss character back, but they still have a bunch of inventory of these Lily dolls in the warehouse. And so the therapist is essentially Alexa Bliss is back to like semi-normal, but she has to keep this doll on her to keep her sane, because they got to sell them, man.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's genius.
Terrible.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. It's good for them to get rid of those things. I mean, at that point, it's going to be like a release superstar. Everything's going to be 90% off for that Lily doll at that point.
That old curmudgeon white guy attitude in me when I saw those things, like, no one's ever going to buy those. And they fucking proved me wrong.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere.
I saw that thing. My buddy's like 31. He bought one and I looked at it. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, I was just looking to see if you put a hole in it yet. He's like a huge Alexa Bliss and Fiend fan, so I was like, I had to throw a dark joke in on him.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't too appreciative of it though. Sorry, Tim. Anyway, our next match is Ronda Rousey and Naomi taking on Charlotte Flair and Sonia Deville. This literally just developed on SmackDown last Friday.
I missed this shit because Bama hit me up, was like, where's your predictions? And when this match came across on the predictions, I was like, when the hell did this happen? Like, I didn't even, I must have missed that when I was watching SmackDown.
Yeah. So Naomi got her title match against Charlotte Flair. She loses. Sonya Deville was ringside. And then after the match, Sonya and Charlotte attacked Naomi, which brought Ronda.
And Ronda came out. I just didn't realize they booked a tag match from it. That's cool, man.
I found it interesting. My pick is going to be Ronda and Naomi.
Yeah.
And this kind of like throws off like what we had talked about with Charlotte and Lita and all that stuff. This is where I see a feud with Charlotte and Naomi at Mania type deal. Or not Naomi, Ronda Rousey, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're going to keep those two apart as much as you can in the match. You're gonna let Ronda mix it up with Sonya and have that MMA and Sonya's MMA style clash, and then Bianca and Charlotte will match up, because they're going to keep the real feuds away. They're going to keep Bianca and Sonya. They're going to tease that, and the same with Ronda and Charlotte. I'll say this. I think Naomi's going to eat that pin. Because they'll probably want to preserve, although she already has a victory over Sonya, they'll probably run it back one more time at Mania. Maybe. But
I like your take on that.
Because to me, it was weird how she beat her on an episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
And I was, leading into the Rumble, and I was like, oh, thank God we can be done with this. But then when the Rumble happened and Sonia attacked. God save me here. What was Naomi's old tag team partner's name?
Cameron.
And then she also eliminated Naomi, I think, after she was already out of the match or something.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we're gonna get this feud's gonna go again. So the only logical thing to make it make sense is a singles blow off at WrestleMania on their fucking kickoff show, probably.
Yeah.
But Naomi will probably get her big win there, and maybe this feud can be finally over. You want to hear a really fun fact about this feud?
Absolutely.
They just had their first match.
Yeah.
Going into their first real official match, going into SmackDown right before the Rumble. That feud started like the week before or the week after CM Punk debuted.